Hello there everybody, it's Malcolm Budden here from MNB Networks. This is a short update video where I'm going to give you an overview as to the different scenarios that we have available in the MNB Networks CCDE training. I'm working on an option to buy these scenarios and practice them in a more scaled down version of the CCDE version 3 training that we offer, so you would not need to attend the full program over a year. If you're perhaps going from CCDE version 2 to CCDE version 3, then this may or may not be something that you would be interested in to help with that final push towards the exam. Alright, so let me go through an overview as to what we have on offer, and we will be making another announcement very soon as to how we're actually going to structure and price this. So you'll see on the screen here that the opening thing that we have to tell you is that we now have 31 lab demos, mini scenario challenges, and different ways of practicing for the CCDE version 3. You can see in the bullet points below that consists of 4 times large scale lab demonstrations. We have 7 group challenge scenarios, which are based on designs that the group has to try and come up with solutions and argue the case for and against based on pros, cons, constraints and things like that. We have 2 network automation mini scenarios, 5 campus LAN scenarios, 2 cloud and multi-cloud, 4 data center, and 4 separate mini case studies which are a bit more involved and have multiple technologies involved in them. We also have a similar thing where we have 3 different service provider large scale network scenarios that have design requirements and background information and constraints. So these things that I've talked about are really, if you think of like a huge project that you have on the go, or a large design and a very large network, but then you have to fix a problem and zoom in on a specific part of that, that's what these scenarios are about. In addition to these, which have been developed from scratch by myself in order to prepare for the CCDE version 3 course that we recently ran in May 2022, we are now going to add these scenarios as an option to the already available CCDE scenarios that I took over from Jeremy Philibin. So these have around 20 questions, and they've been available for a while, self-study, and it's not a small task to update these to CCDE version 3, but I am working through that. When they are, anybody who has purchased these self-paced scenarios, which are available at training.mnbnetworks.tech, if you've purchased these, any updates, you will receive them. Okay, so how are we evolving things in the future? As I said, we've got the 7 full CCDE scenarios from Jeremy that have got between 20 to 30 questions. We've got these scenarios in PDF format, but what we're going to be doing and what we're in the process of doing is integrating these into a fully fledged CCDE exam test engine. Okay, this is a game changer for the CCDE training industry. I don't believe that there's another offering on the market that comes close to this in respect to emulating the exam. You log in through our training platform, you click a link, you're taken to an exam, and you can see we have an example of one of the questions from the Americatel scenario that was formerly Jeremy Philibin's and is actually now going to be NetEdge Communications. But you can see here that this emulates as a live test engine with the questions from Americatel, and it's in beta testing. We're probably only going to have 2 of these available in the near future, because it actually does take a long time to get all hands to the pump and upload these. But anyway, test engine which is coming, and this is in addition to the mini scenarios that we talked about here. So these are directly from the content of the course, which have been developed from scratch, plus these scenarios which will be going onto the test engine. Still also working out how we're going to price them, how we're going to sell them, but they are coming soon and we're very, very focused on developing them. So to give you a snapshot and an idea as to what if we zoom in and see what types of scenarios are we actually going to be providing throughout this training, or with these training packages, we have various lab demonstrations because we feel like I feel like from my own CCDE experience that you really need to lab stuff up in order to totally get it and understand the interdependencies between different protocols and things like that. So we've got labs that we will demonstrate, layer 3 VPN with a couple of VRFs, layer 2 VPN, a segment routing lab where we have LDP and segment routing coexisting before we then show the interworking between segment routing and LDP. And then we talk about how that actually works from a design perspective and what we need to consider. We've also got a demonstration of a multicast VPN using Draft Rosen. Maybe give the game away a bit there if you watch this video and then you try and do the lab. But anyway, it's based on multicast VPN and we have a streaming service demonstrated. That's something like what you see the lab demo topology looks like, where in summary we have a couple of MPLS networks, we have an inter-AS link, and then we have P-ring, and then we have any transport over MPLS and various different things like that. So we will demonstrate that as part of this training offering depending on which package you pick. Alright, so the group discussion scenarios that we've got things like, just to ease ourselves in, these are really scenarios to get you working as a group, challenging each other, and then also thinking on your own, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can prepare yourself for the CCDE, but they are group discussion scenarios on routing protocols, the streaming challenge, which dovetails quite well into what we talked about a minute ago with the multicast VPN. We've got internet edge with DDoS mitigation, dual MPLS at a site, SD-WAN proof of concept, merger and acquisition scenario on how do you integrate two very large companies together based on tactical and strategic solutions, and then we also have data center interconnect scenarios. In addition to this, we have two, at the moment, network automation scenarios, but at MNB Networks we're always working on network automation, and we will add more to these mini scenarios in the future. So as we come across or are asked for automation use cases related to design, of course, this isn't just how to automate a network and command line. This is what is the business problem, how do we fix it with automation, and why do we pick a certain way. We also have campus LAN and wireless LAN scenarios where we have a hospital transition or replacement of kit, and how we integrate the different protocols, or how we integrate the new kit with the old kit using different protocols. We have collapsed core example with network segmentation, network refresh, I won't say too much about that, and then campus LAN and wireless LAN transformation. We also have global wireless LAN authentication upgrades, so think identity services engine and pre-shared key to radius and all that kind of stuff. Going into the last few slides, we have scenarios about the different ways that we can connect into the cloud environment. So that might be using AWS Direct Connect, Microsoft Azure Express Route, an IPsec GRE where you download the config. It could be cloud on ramp with SD-WAN, or it could be none of these. It just depends on whether we are looking at SaaS, infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service. So these scenarios are related to how do we get the data to the cloud, and then we also have a multi-cloud routing scenario. So how do we address the multi-cloud challenges? We have data center challenge scenarios. virtual device context, data center migration from a legacy to a software-defined data center, with data center interconnects in play, layer 2, layer 3, things like that. We also have a data center interconnect challenge with host routing and asymmetric routing and how that affects stateful devices. Service provider scenarios, these are quite large scale, that's why there's less of them. We have an inter-AS and internet peering scenario, frame relay migration to MPLS. It does still exist in the world for frame relay, I should say, or frame relay does exist in the world. And then how to refresh, or not how we recommend to refresh an MPLS core. Alright, so the final sort of few scenarios that we have are design mini case studies. So these are a little bit more involved, where instead of just like a picture and some bullet points with requirements and background information and constraints, these are perhaps like a 7 or 8 page document where we ask you to read the document, or it might be 5 or 6 slides which you have to read the background information, take notes, and then come up with some kind of solution, either by answering questions or putting a design together yourself. We've got edge site conceptual redesign, so that would be one particular site which maybe had some kind of complex scenario. We've got a multi-tenanted airport design, so understand how the airport works, look at the requirements, the constraints, and then put a solution together in order to accommodate for that. We've also got what we call a 7-minute scenario, where we say, start reading this now, and then tell us what is this design about, what are they looking to do. There's an objective to that about CCDE exam strategy, and it will all become apparent if you decide to take the training. Then we've also, I always say in a lot of my videos, know your flows. So WAN traffic flows in a very large scale network where a specific region has some constraints around the way that the traffic can flow for compliance and legal reasons and things like that. So all of these scenarios are already produced. We're in the process of figuring out the best way to slice them up and resell them to different people are at different stages of the CCDE. So rather than a big bang, buy everything, that's what we're kind of working through at the moment. So the anticipated release date for this stuff is late July 2022. If you're interested and you're studying for the CCDE, please reach out to us via training@mnbnetworks.tech. There's going to be limited spaces for this, and the reason for this is that I want to protect the integrity of the content. I also want to quality assure it by the first few people that buy the content. I want to make improvements based on feedback, if there is any feedback. So that's it really. I just wanted to give an update on that. Been working really hard in the background in preparation for the CCDE version 3. We are taking this certification very seriously, very, very seriously, and we want to help people pass the exam. Hope that's evident from the presentation that we've just done, and I look forward to hearing from you if you're interested in the training materials. Thanks very much for your attention, and speak to you soon. Cheers.